Have you ever stopped to consider the unseen spiritual consequences of something as simple as throwing away leftover food? It's one of those things we do without a second thought, right? You clean out the fridge, toss a half-eaten meal in the trash, and just go about your day. But what if I told you that this completely mundane, everyday habit actually carries some severe cosmic weight? Today, we're going to rethink some of our most basic actions through the lens of ancient spiritual laws. So welcome to this explainer. I am super excited to dive into this one with you. Today we're looking at a deeply fascinating, visceral case study of karma that comes straight from profound Buddhist and Taoist texts. Specifically, we're going to be breaking down the text Siang Rang Ko Chak Pret, which translates to the cries of the hungry ghost. We're going to explore exactly how our daily actions ripple out into eternity. All right, here is our roadmap for today's explainer. 1. The hungry ghost realm. 2. The spirit's desperate plea. 3. Sins of a past life. 4. The law of karma. And finally 5. Escaping the torment. Okay, let's jump right into section 1, the hungry ghost realm. According to these teachings, the hungry ghost, or preta, exists in what's known as one of the 3 tragic reincarnation pathways. Think of this realm as kind of a strict cosmic correctional facility for spirits. A hungry ghost suffers from this absolute, insatiable hunger and thirst. But here is the really tragic irony. If they do actually manage to find food, it literally turns to fire or ashes in their throats. So they are physically prevented from finding nourishment. And this serves as a direct, didactic punishment for misusing resources and lacking compassion back when they were human. Moving on to section 2, the spirit's desperate plea. Picture this. It's August 10th, 1992, during a spiritual gathering at a temple in Taiwan, and something extraordinary happens. The source text details how Jigong Buddha mercifully permitted a suffering spirit to channel a message through a young girl who was acting as a medium. And this wasn't just any random spirit. This was the soul of an Ethiopian starvation victim who had recently died in absolute agony, and they were allowed to come forward to issue a desperate warning to humanity. Through this medium, the spirit conveyed a reality that is just heartbreaking. The spirit cried out, "I am so tired. I am terrified of the suffering in the endless cycle of birth and death." I mean, that perfectly encapsulates the horror of being trapped in the reincarnation cycle, doesn't it? They are completely at the mercy of their past ignorance, just wandering aimlessly in the spirit realm without the spiritual merit needed to escape. That brings us to section 3, sins of a past life. So what exactly did this spirit do to deserve such a horrifying fate? The contrast here is incredibly stark. The spirit revealed that way back during the Song Dynasty, they lived as a very wealthy, highly arrogant person. They squandered exquisite food, threw tantrums, wasted valuable resources, and get this, they deliberately starved their servants as a form of punishment. And the karmic retribution for that? Centuries later, they were reborn into extreme poverty and starvation in Ethiopia, dressed in dirty rags, and died a slow, agonizing death. The spirit then described their current day-to-day existence in the hungry ghost realm. They said, "Even when rain falls on my body, it turns to sparks of fire. If I find food, it turns to ashes in my mouth." That is the literal, physical manifestation of their punishment. The extreme greed and wastefulness from their past life is physically blocking them from receiving any nourishment in the spirit world. The punishment just perfectly mirrors the crime. Let's look at the mechanics behind this in section 4, the law of karma. The absolute most crucial point to understand here is that none of this is just random punishment. It is an objective, natural law of the universe. The Buddhist teachings frame it beautifully. Plant beans, get beans. Plant melons, get melons. It's the unbreakable law of cause and effect. What you put out into the world is exactly what you get back. If you're planting seeds of wastefulness and cruelty, you are inevitably going to harvest suffering. But where does all this bad karma actually originate? Well, it stems from what the texts call the 5 poisonous thoughts. We have greed, anger, and hatred, ignorance, arrogance, and suspicion. These 5 roots basically obscure our pure innate nature. And when we let these toxic thoughts dictate our actions, just like that spirit did in the Song Dynasty, we lock ourselves into the material world, and we just generate endless cycles of spiritual debt. And this illustrates the inescapable reality of karma so well. As the text explicitly puts it, the law of cause and effect is so obvious and real, there is absolutely no exception nor escape. It honestly doesn't matter how much wealth or earthly power you accumulate in your human life, you literally cannot buy your way out of spiritual debt. Every single action is accounted for. Okay, finally, section 5, escaping the torment. So how do we apply this? Let's look at some modern traps of bad karma. The spirits specifically warned us against things like wasting leftovers, letting food rot in the back of the fridge, or even burning food just because we're distracted. But here is a detail that I found totally fascinating. The spirit literally begged the living not to eat late at night and clink our bowls. Why? Because the sound of dishes and eating actively torments the starving ghosts wandering the night. It reminds them of the food they can't consume. So our casual, everyday habits have a direct impact on these unseen realms. Crazy, right? So how do we fix this? How do we break the cycle? The enlightened teachers offer 3 very specific steps to transcend the 6 pathways. First, receive the Tao to awaken your true innate nature. Second, uphold the purification and veganism vow to stop generating bad karma. And third, actively cultivate compassion to offset your past debts. Basically, you have to stop the bleeding before you can actually begin to heal. Teacher Tan Ramshi's on Powerfully unpacks that veganism step for us. When he was asked what merit comes from being vegan, he answered, where does the merit come from? Choosing to be vegan is simply avoiding the further creation of bad karma associated with killing. So actually, scratch the idea of earning merit here. Veganism is essentially a baseline human duty that just stops new death from forming. If you want true, ultimate liberation, that requires actively cultivating your innate compassion and going out of your way to help others. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final, absolutely vital question to think about. Will you allow your innate compassion to guide your daily actions, or are you willing to risk the unseen consequences of ignorance? The cries of the hungry ghost are a pretty chilling reminder that our choices really do matter, sometimes across multiple lifetimes. Let's take these ancient lessons into our modern lives and start cultivating a world of intention and mercy. Thanks so much for learning with me today.